Have you ever stopped to wonder how much of you is actually you? And how much is maybe, a reflection of the world around you? What if AI could actually help us see that connection, that dance between our inner selves and everything outside? Today, we're taking a deep dive into something called Inside Out Human Science. Sounds a bit academic, maybe, but it's really this fascinating framework. It explores the constant interplay between our internal stuff, how we see ourselves, emotions, thoughts, beliefs, and how that all shows up externally, in our behavior, our cultures, even how we interact with nature. We've got this incredible AI-driven scientific study as our guide today. It's analyzed humanity, past, present, future, using insights from, well, pretty much everywhere: psychology, sociology, biology, cognitive science, philosophy. It's like having a super smart guide to understanding ourselves.
Yeah, and what's really captivating, I think, is that the AI here isn't just a tool for analysis, it's also acting like a mirror, isn't it? It reflects back how our own understanding of ourselves is shifting, and it forces us to ask some pretty deep questions about being human now in this new era. So our mission today is to really dig into this study, pull out those key insights, maybe some surprising facts, and help you get those aha moments about how we're evolving alongside this technology.
Okay, let's jump right in then. Let's unpack this deep dive into what AI is revealing about us and what it means for your understanding of yourself and the world. So maybe the place to start is, how does our sense of self even get formed by the outside world? There's this classic idea from sociology, right? Charles Cooley's looking glass self. It's basically the idea that we figure out who we are by imagining how others see us, how they judge us, and then we kind of internalize those judgments, like society is a mirror.
Exactly. And that idea just gets, well, supercharged in the digital age.
Sure.
Think about your cyber self,
Yep.
that online persona. It's so changeable, constantly reacting to likes, comments, whatever the latest online norm is. Now, that can be good sometimes, maybe boosts confidence, lets you explore things. But there are worries too, like does it lead to a kind of splintered identity? Are we focusing too much on crafting that online version instead of, real world growth?
Right. So the big takeaway here, the aha moment, AB, is that identity isn't static. It's not fixed. It's this constantly negotiated thing, always evolving. It's that inside-out interaction between your mind and your social world. And the digital world just puts that on hyperspeed with all that instant feedback. Okay, let's go deeper now, down to biology. We talk about nurture, meaning environment, right? But what if nurture isn't just experiences out there? What if it literally changes how our genes work in here?
Ah, yeah, that's exactly where behavioral epigenetics comes in. It's a fascinating field. It shows how our experiences, our environment, can actually change gene expression. Think of it like dimmer switches on your DNA. It turns genes on or off. Things like DNA methylation, histone modification, fancy terms, but basically ways to control the volume. Importantly, it does this without changing the actual DNA sequence itself. It's not mutation, it's regulation. And examples are pretty striking. You see it in animal studies, like how much mother rats nurture their pups affects the pup's stress response for life. In humans, things like prenatal exposure to maternal stress can epigenetically tweak a baby's stress reactivity. Or childhood trauma can leave marks like methylation changes that increase the risk for depression later on. Even environmental stress seems to influence susceptibility to drug addiction by affecting the brain's reward pathways.
Wow. So the implication is huge then. Our environment, our experiences, they don't just wash over us. They can literally embed themselves biologically, affecting us our whole lives, maybe even the next generation. It totally challenges that simple nature versus nurture idea. It shows human nature is way more fluid, more responsive than we thought. It's like the ultimate biological inside-out loop. Okay, so switching gears a bit. How about how we think? Do we operate like logical machines? Or is human rationality, well, a bit messier?
More human.
Oh, definitely messier. Cognitive science really highlights this. Our logic, our decision-making, it's all tangled up with emotions, social factors, and these systematic thinking traps, cognitive biases. We're absolutely not pure logical computers, not even close. Yeah, and we all kind of know these biases, even if we don't always catch ourselves, right? Like confirmation bias, only looking for stuff that proves what we already think. Or hindsight bias, that feeling of, oh, I knew that would happen after the fact. Then there's anchoring bias, getting stuck on the first piece of info we hear. And the availability heuristic, where vivid memories make us think something's more common than it is. The study really stresses these aren't just little quirks. They show how our internal processing of the outside world is fundamentally biased. Our logic isn't pure.
And that directly leads to a big question for AI, doesn't it? If our decision-making is this complex mix of logic, emotion, bias, then any AI trying to understand or interact with us needs to be way more sophisticated. It can't just rely on simple logical models. It has to somehow account for our inherent, maybe even necessary, irrationality.
Which perfectly tees up a really big philosophical point the study makes. What happens to our idea of being special, uniquely human, when AI starts showing intelligence too?
Right? AI is causing what some call a philosophical rupture, or maybe a paradigm shift. It just blurs that old, neat line we drew between humans alive, smart, with inner lives, and machines, lifeless, deterministic tools. AI doesn't fit that binary. I mean, look at what AI can do now. Find patterns we can't see in massive data, process info at lightning speed, learn from experience, solve new problems. And it does all this without being alive or conscious in the way we understand it. That directly challenges this idea of human exceptionalism, that we're somehow fundamentally different and superior.
It's that in-betweenness that's so tricky and so interesting. AI isn't human, isn't just a machine in the old sense, it's something else. And that forces us really to rethink what makes us human. What are our core values, our dignity, especially in a world with non-human intelligence? So given all this complexity about us, how is AI actually helping us understand these human dynamics? What's it doing practically?
Well, one huge area is computational social science, CSS. Think of AI analyzing just enormous amounts of digital data, social media, emails, search histories, not to be creepy, but to map out large-scale patterns of human behavior in connection, things we could never see before. But it's going even further now. Beyond just analyzing data, AI is starting to simulate society. There are these frameworks like Agent Society, where they model huge populations of AI agents powered by large language models, LLMs interacting in simulated social worlds. It's like creating a virtual laboratory for society.
Whoa, that's a massive shift. So AI isn't just observing, it's becoming a generative tool. We can use it to explore what-if scenarios about social evolution. That turns social science into something almost experimental on a scale that's just mind-boggling.
Okay, but here's something that really made me pause. We're talking about AI studying us. But what happens when the act of being studied by AI changes us? Get this, the AI assessment effect. Yeah, it's a really subtle but profound feedback loop. We know LLMs are getting better at seemingly understanding human behavior, emotions, even theory of mind. NLP tools infer motivation from text. But research is showing that when people know an AI is assessing them, they actually behave differently. They might act more analytical, for instance, thinking the AI values that. It's like they're trying to manage the AI's impression of them, trying to beat the bots or just give the AI what they think it wants.
So there's a paradox there, isn't there? AI's understanding of us might be based on data that's already shaped by our reaction to the AI. It's like a hall of mirrors. AI's analysis shapes our behavior, which then shapes AI's analysis. It makes you question how authentic AI's grasp of human-like behavior really is. That really highlights the need for transparency, doesn't it? Which brings us to another key tool, explainable AI or XAI. How do we trust these systems if they're like black boxes?
Exactly. XAI is all about making AI decision-making transparent and understandable to us humans, opening up that black box. There are techniques like ESHAP and LIME that help explain why an AI made a particular decision. And this is absolutely crucial for trust, especially when AI is making big calls, loan applications, maybe even criminal justice risk assessments. We need to know how it's working.
Yeah.
But XAI does more than just build trust. It's also vital for finding and fixing flaws, particularly bias. It can reveal, for example, if a risk assessment tool is unfairly flagging certain groups, or if facial recognition works poorly for women or people of color because the training data was skewed.
Okay, so XAI isn't just a technical fix. It's actually a powerful lens, isn't it?
Yeah.
It helps us see and potentially address the systemic biases that already exist in our society because they're baked into the data AI learns from. It becomes a tool for social justice in a way. This leads to a fundamental comparison. AI smartness versus human wisdom. What's the real difference?
It's a key distinction. AI excels at what you might call computational smartness. Speed, scale, raw logic, finding patterns in unimaginable amounts of data, that's its strength. Human intelligence, though, maybe wisdom is a better word. It's rooted in lived experience, consciousness, emotion, intuition, a moral compass. It's about understanding meaning, context, nuance, dealing with ambiguity, and ultimately originating genuine creativity.
Right, so they're complementary, not really competing on the same field. The most powerful approach isn't replacement, it's augmentation. Combining human insight and creativity with AI's processing power, AI helps us do things better, faster, maybe see things we'd miss, but it doesn't replace that core human wisdom. Okay, let's bring these ideas down to earth. How do these inside-out insights impact us, our kids, our planet, our societies, and the real world?
We'll take child development. The study emphasizes that raising healthy, well-adjusted kids isn't just about one thing, like school. It's a holistic system. Biological, cognitive, social, emotional growth, they're all interconnected, all influencing each other. Things like consistent warmth from caregivers, stable families, rich learning environments with hands-on play, outdoor time. These build not just knowledge, but those vital transversal skills: empathy, teamwork, problem solving, skills needed for a complex world.
So it really pushes for this broad ecological view. A child is part of multiple systems, and we need to support all of them for that child to flourish.
And that holistic view absolutely includes our connection to nature. The study strongly links connecting with the natural world to our mental health. It reduces stress, anxiety, depression, boosts positive feelings. It's not just a nice extra, it seems quite fundamental. And it's reciprocal too. When people feel connected to nature, they're more likely to protect it, which in turn improves the environment, which then boosts well-being again. It's a positive feedback loop.
And the flip side is stark, isn't it? The study points to a broken relationship with nature as a key driver behind both our modern health problems and environmental degradation. Our well-being and the planet's health are just completely intertwined, the ultimate inside-out system affecting our very health.
Shifting to leadership and culture. AI analysis, looking across cultures using frameworks like Hofstede's dimensions, power distance, individualism, collectivism, really confirms how relative leadership ideals are. There's no single right way to lead that works everywhere. Culture shapes expectations profoundly. And we're also seeing a shift driven partly by complexity and technology, moving away from the old great leader model towards something called systems leadership. This is more about fostering collective action, collaboration, distributing authority. It's less top-down.
Which makes sense, right? As society gets more complex, partly because of tech, like AI, governance needs to adapt too. It needs to be less about hierarchy, power over, and more about networks, collective intelligence, power with. But this interplay isn't always positive. What about the darker side? Rule-breaking, conflict. Can AI help us understand that?
It can help analyze the patterns, certainly. The study points out rule-breaking has complex roots. There are individual psychological factors, impulsivity, maybe trauma history, mental health, but also strong sociological ones: peer pressure, group dynamics, how people view authority. AI can model these interactions at scale, and tragically, this can scale up to horrifying levels, like cultural cleansing, the deliberate destruction of a people's culture. History is sadly full of examples: the Ottomans in Armenian culture, the Nazis, forced assimilation of Native Americans, ISIS, the current situation in Ukraine.
It's sobering. Human aggression runs from small acts of defiance right up to attempts at cultural annihilation. But what's also incredible, and something AI could potentially help document by analyzing cultural artifacts or language use, is human resilience in the face of this.
Absolutely. Think about enslaved Africans preserving traditions through music, stories, creating new forms like spirituals under unimaginable pressure. Or Native American communities today actively reviving languages, reconnecting youth with their heritage after generations of suppression. It's incredibly powerful.
It just underscores that culture isn't passive. It's this active, ongoing struggle for identity, driven by deep internal values and collective memory, pushing back against external pressures.
Okay, so bringing AI into all this, understanding us, influencing us, what are the big ethical challenges? What guardrails do we need?
Well, a major one we've touched on is algorithmic bias. AI, learning from biased data, just perpetuates those biases in hiring, facial recognition, you name it. Then there's the transparency issue, the black box, eroding trust, and critically, the impact on human dignity and autonomy. Job losses, yes, but also maybe subtly limiting our choices or even changing how we express ourselves when we know AI is listening, that regulated expression. So the tough question is, who's responsible when AI causes harm or reinforces bias? It requires us developing really robust ethical frameworks, strong governance, and really understanding how our biases and algorithmic biases interact. It's complex. We need effective AI governance frameworks to guide how AI is built and used. Make sure it's safe, fair, complies with rules like the EU AI Act, NIST guidelines, OECD principles. These frameworks cover ethical guidelines, risk management, transparency, data protection, and this is key human oversight. Look at UNESCO's recommendations. They stress human rights, peace, diversity, environment, fairness, accountability, and always human oversight.
Right, because the AI itself doesn't have morals, does it? It doesn't have lived experience. So humans have to be in the loop to provide that ethical judgment, that context, to make sure AI aligns with our values and doesn't cause harm. It's putting our inside values onto the outside tech.
Exactly. And the potential for good is enormous. AI can enhance human flourishing in productivity, health, social good. But it requires conscious choices. human-centric policies. We need to think about creating new jobs where humans collaborate with AI, not just displacement. We need continuous learning, reskilling, and we need to build ethics in from the start, considering the broad social impacts. Even empathetic AI, it might simulate understanding, maybe help us in ethical dilemmas with data. But it's augmenting our empathy and responsibility, not replacing it. It hasn't lived.
Which brings us back to that crucial point. Who wins and who loses with AI? The outcome isn't baked into the tech itself. It depends entirely on the choices we make, the policies we enact. We have to actively steer it towards fairness, towards equitable outcomes, so the benefits are shared. So it reflects the best of our inside-out nature, not the worst. Wow. We have covered a lot of ground today, a real deep dive into this inside-out human science. Seeing how deeply connected our inner worlds and outer realities truly are, and seeing AI not just as a tool, but as this complex mirror, challenging our ideas about intelligence, about ourselves.
Yeah, connecting it all up, it's clear AI is powerful, but it cuts both ways, doesn't it? Huge potential for good, but real risks if we're not careful, especially around inequality. The future really seems to depend on us being deliberate, keeping humans at the center, fostering that holistic growth, reconnecting with nature, adapting our leadership, really understanding our diverse cultures.
So thinking about all this, well, what stands out most to you listening right now? As AI keeps evolving, keeps reflecting more of our own inside-out nature back at us, how might your understanding of yourself, of humanity, keep expanding? What new parts of our collective consciousness might we discover together in this future we're building? Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into AI's mirror to our nature. We hope it gave you some useful insights, maybe sparked some new questions.
This is DigitView.